Hey, how's it going everyone? James here from Party Time Brewing, and I got one thing to say. Bottling sucks. Most of you are probably already into kegging, so no need to watch this one. But for those of you who aren't into kegging and are thinking about it, some of the things that are coming across your head might be way too expensive, way too much space, blah blah blah. But really it's the expensive thing. Kegging's expensive. It can cost upwards of $300 just for the setup of it. So I just thought I might come up with a little bit easier way to do it. Actually not easier, it's way harder. But it's way cheaper. Let's check it out.
Party time brews. This song ain't no good, but we got nothing to lose.
Okay, so this method is gonna be better than bottling, but not much. Because basically what we're gonna be doing is naturally carbonating in a keg and then using a charging bottle to serve the beer. What you're gonna require is the keg. It's a keg. With those things, they cost somewhere in the range of about $40 to $50 used. Sometimes they're up to $65 now or so. But if you keep an eye out, you can usually find something that works for about $50. You may have to spend a few bucks at your local brewery shop to replace the O-rings and gaskets, but that is, again, it could only be another $5. But either way, somewhere in the $50 range, you can get a keg. The next thing you're gonna need for this is a serving hose. They're about 20 bucks online, and it comes with your fluid disconnect and your picnic tap. Once you got that, the next thing is your charging bottle. These are again another 20 bucks, and you have to buy the cartridges for them. Trust me, there's one in there. I only had one, so it's in there. And you'll need the gas disconnect for your keg. I use ball lock kegs. You can use pin lock kegs just as easy. Just make sure they have the threaded ends on them, and this just screws on nice and easy. But with that being said, we do need to go into priming your beer, so let's check it out. And the first thing you're gonna do is sanitize everything. Here I'm sanitizing the hose, I've already sanitized the keg, and all the fittings and tops are sanitized as well. Next thing you're gonna do is just siphon the beer into the keg. There's much better ways to do this, but for now I'm just doing it the easy way. Okay, so for this batch here, I want a fairly high carbonation level. I made kind of a really light beer, so I want to have it right up there around the 2.1-ish, and that'll be about 100 grams of corn sugar or dextrose. So 100 grams of that in a 5-gallon batch will give me approximately 2.1 volumes of CO2. See how this works. Not surprisingly, I measured out 100 grams of sugar, and then I dumped it directly into the keg. A better way to do this would have been to probably pre-boil about 2/3 of a cup of water and then dissolve the sugar in the water, and then it would have been dispersed a little better in the keg. But dumping it in the keg works just fine. And before you put it away to carbonate for 2 weeks, make sure you put on the charger and add a little bit of pressure. This ensures a good seal and makes sure that when the fermentation happens that the CO2 is actually going to build up in the keg. If you don't have that good seal, it may leak and you'll be very disappointed in 2 weeks. So through a very scientific process known as magic, we have left the keg 2 weeks with the priming sugar in it at room temperature, and she has now carbonated. Now it's time to serve it. But before you serve it, we had to put it in the fridge. So I threw it in the fridge, time went by, and it is ready. I've actually had this in the fridge for a few days now, so hopefully all the sediment should be nice and at the bottom, but it could take a bit. Let's look at her. Okay, so the first step, once you got it on the table, it makes sense to just purge it because there might be a lot of pressure in there. So we'll purge it, and then we will put the serving pressure on there, which I have no idea what it is because we didn't buy a fancy gauge. Let's check it. So it does have pressure. Didn't feel like a ton, but hopefully it would just normally be up to serving pressure. So next thing we're gonna do is attach the CO2 charger to the gas disconnect. Exciting. It screws on. Fine, most of these just need to be hand tight. You don't need to go cranking on it. Hopefully I still have some CO2 left in here, and we just attach it to the keg. So that's attached to the keg. Now you give it a few spritzes, just enough to give it some pressure to serve. And something you'll notice there, or maybe not notice, but I did it, is that you need to disconnect these after you're done giving a little charge. Just give it a few spritzes and then disconnect, because it tends to leak through these. Might be ways to make sure it's sealed, but my one leaks, so just take it off. Shouldn't be leaking there, it'll have the pressure in there for serving. And we just want to grab our serving line. So we have the fluid disconnect there, or the beer line. Go into your oat, hook it up. So the first serving is probably going to be crap. We did naturally carbonate it with the sugar. So I'm just going to pour a little bit into a cup here and see what comes out first. doesn't actually look that bad. Still gonna go for the second pour. We'll talk about the beer in a second, but as you can see, got my glass, give it a pour. Nice and carbonated. So she's nice and carbonated. You got the keg set up. These little CO2 things, probably only gonna get about 1 keg per charge. You might get a little bit more, but really, it's the cheapest way to get set up initially. Somewhere in the range of $100 will get you set up with this, and it's gonna work. It's gonna work for a while. You might eventually get bored of buying the $3 CO2 cartridges, but one of the beauties about this is that it is a gateway to the full kegging system, because now you've already spent your $100, you have the keg, you have the lines, all you really need is the tank and regulator. So if you were to go new, another 200 bucks, but if you keep your eye out on the used market, you can probably get a tank and a regulator, at least around here. I've seen them for as low as 70 or 80 bucks, but you may go as much as 100 bucks, or you might get it as low as 30 or 40. But who knows, either way, it'll let you get your kegging going. You don't have to do 60 separate bottles. You just put them all in one and it'll be good to go. So yeah, I think that's a pretty decent way to get started if you only have the $100 to put into it. Okay, so that's how I naturally carbonated the keg. It does work. You can do a carbonated keg without having the expensive CO2 bottle and regulator. However, you're kind of screwed if it goes flat. That's the big thing I want to warn you about, is that if you're not consistently putting the pressure in with your CO2 charger and you let the beer kind of go flat, or if you're going to sit a couple days before trying it again, once the pressure gets to a certain level, it's a lot easier for the CO2 to leak out of the keg. So you really got to watch that, keep it pressurized and keep going like that, because otherwise, yeah, you're kind of screwed for that 2 weeks to reprime it again and try it again. And you're going to have to open it up with the chance of messing up your beer with some infection or something like that. So really, it's a way to naturally prime your keg. You can save a lot of CO2, but now let's get back into the beer. This beer is the third ferment from my splats I did. If you've seen the video, take a look at it. I guess it'll ding up one of these sides here. Maybe not ding if I don't use a sound effect, but maybe I will use a sound effect. Ding. So yeah, the video will come up and you'll see that this beer was only a starting gravity of about 1.015. And that's because I basically had 2 full 5-gallon fermenters and I wanted to get another batch out of it, but it only had about a third of it. So I just watered it really down and it ended up with this beer here, which looks super light, has a berry smell, has almost no flavor. It's close to maybe like a near beer. It is kind of refreshing, but I am getting a little bit of an off flavor there. Can't put my finger on it exactly what it is there. I don't know, going into my big brain, if I only have my wheels of descriptors. Hold on, going to grab my wheel of descriptors. Okay, so we are back. I got wheel of descriptors, so. Okay, so I've already wasted a lot of time there. You want to get out of here, so let's give it a taste. I'll pretend I have something out of it. Like that, I look to the sky to pretend like I'm really thinking hard, but it's really, I'm just confused. There's nothing going on up there. Could just be the taste of watered down hoppiness. Either way, if you're looking for something fresh and easy to drink, go with that. It's not horrible, but it's not great. Someday I will make an okay hop water, but this is not it. This is just probably a 1.5% easy drinker. Looking for something easy to drink, then go for it. Hold on a second, I'll be right back. Okay, so Gate took it to the wife. She's the one that was in the other video, as seen here. But she actually likes the smell of it. She thinks she likes the taste of it, but she just brushed her teeth, so hard to say, but I'll give it a go in the future. Maybe leave some notes in the comments and I will let you know what she actually thinks when it's, how about her? Mouth doesn't taste like toothpaste. Either way, waste enough of your time. You've been rambling on. If you like my kind of videos or these kind of videos, I guess they're my kind of videos because I make them, but if you would like to see more brewing videos, check out some more of my videos, as in seen right here. Might as well subscribe to the channel, maybe over here. And yeah, leave a like, leave a comment, or an emoji, or a middle finger if you can. I don't know. Easy to drink.